In this video series, we're creating some lovely terrains like this one. This is the end goal, this is what we're going to be working towards. At the moment we have something that's kind of halfway towards it now. This is what it's going to look like at the end of this video. To do this, we're going to use a thing called Complete Terrain Shader. This is another asset from Procedural Worlds. Let's get going.
So I've already imported it into my project, and here is the terrain as it currently stands. And you can see that it's a pretty good terrain. It's looking reasonably good, but you have some things like stretching here on the texture that's applied to this cliff, a bit severe, the gap between the edges there. And this looks a little flat, even though it's supposed to be rocky. So let's see what we can do with Complete Terrain Shader. So you first go into Component, CTS, Add to Terrain. That adds this component here, the shader component, to the terrain. Next up, we need to create a profile. So Window, Procedural Worlds, CTS, Create and Apply Profile. What this is going to do is it's going to take the textures from your terrain, adapt them, put the appropriate shaders on and so forth. And there you go. We now have a CTS enabled terrain, and already without any changes we can see that things look better. In many ways, we need to address some other things as well. So this already looks better over here. We've got much sharper on our rocks. This line here seems to be merging much more nicely. And then over here, it's still a bit flat on these rocks here. However, the grass color is now totally off compared to the texture behind. So we're going to need to do some editing of colors and things to resolve that. But we can see, even just clicking a few things, it already looks better. So how can we improve? We can edit the CTS profile, switch into tessellation. Okay, and now we're starting to see some improvements on the texturing here, and a little bit stretched over here, but it's definitely an improvement over before. My rocks definitely look a lot better now. I'm going to remove detail from the terrain. Clear details. We can spawn those back in later, but it just means we can see the terrain better to be able to play with the profile. Let's make it a little rougher. We're going to increase the global normal power, which will make it stand out a little bit more. I'm sure we can continue to tweak these for a long time. Let's generate our detail. Spawn. This will take a little while, and then I think what we're going to find is that some of these grasses are just far too bright, and so what we can do is go in and reduce change the tint a little bit, just darken them up. There's our grass, and indeed the colours are looking just a little intense in places. There we go, that looks better.
So there we have it. We've used Complete Terrain Shader from Procedural Worlds to improve our terrains significantly. This is what we have at the moment, but what we're working towards is going to look something like this. I still have a few tweaks to do, but this obviously looks better. In the next episode, we're going to look at improving this fly through. See you then.